How are you doing? Okay, so my name is Edward, and I'm from the Green Planet Conservation Initiative. So we have come to your school today to talk about tree planting, tree and flower planting. So what we came here are some flowers that we're going to plant. And one of the things that we are doing is to encourage planting of flowers, trees. Do you know what flower is? You know what tree is? Yes. Okay, so what we do is that we encourage planting of flowers and planting of trees. You know what they do? These trees and flowers, what they do is that they take in carbon dioxide. Have you heard of carbon dioxide before? Yes. Carbon dioxide. So they take in carbon dioxide and they produce oxygen. Do you understand? Yes. And what human beings breathe, what we human beings breathe is oxygen, right? So it means that it is helpful in our environment. It actually has a very great importance in our environment. And there's something we call climate change. Climate change. How many of you know what is called weather? Weather. Okay. So I can feel that now. So weather is actually a short change in the atmosphere. You understand? When there are changes in the atmosphere, you know, when we look at the environment like this, when we look at the earth, when we look at the atmosphere from here, you know, the up, everywhere we see, where it all constitutes our atmosphere, right? Yes. Now, when there are changes in this atmosphere, changes can be in form of the way cloud form, the way sun shines, the way wind blows, or the temperature of the atmosphere. All these are the things that constitute, all these things are the things that happen in the atmosphere. There are sometimes you see some kind of wind that blows around. How many of you have noticed a wind that comes and blows and it will turn like this, turn like this, turn like this? Yes. Okay. So when winds like that blow, there are things that causes it to turn in that direction. So, and some of these changes that happen in the atmosphere, are you with me? Yes. Some of these changes that happen in the atmosphere, they are the things that when it happens within a short period of time, we'll say that that condition is weather. That's the weather of that environment. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. That if the sun shines in a particular way for a very short period of time, and maybe the sun is actually scorching, is the kind of sun that pains on the body. You understand? In a particular day, sun shines like that in a very short period of time, maybe for the day. We say that's the weather for that day. You understand? You understand the concept of what I'm trying? I'm trying to explain so that you understand what weather is before we move into climate. You understand? And maybe we say, okay, like what we have now, we have a cold period now. We have a cold period now. And there are some things that causes this cold. Some of the things that causes the cold is the altitude. I don't know, maybe these terms I'm using if they are too much for you people. Okay, but let me see how I can be simple as possible. But you understand what weather is now. That if rain now, let's assume that rain falls in this environment, maybe consistently for 1 week. We'll say that's the weather for that period of time. Do you understand? Now, what is climate? When we talk about climate is actually a long time change, a long time weather pattern. A long time weather pattern. What I mean in that in this sense is that when a weather, like what I was telling you about the way sun shines, if a sun shines in a particular way for a short period of time, it means that's the weather. But when that thing continues for a very long period of time, we call that a climate. Do you understand? So climate is actually a long-time weather pattern over a region. Usually within usually a minimum of 30. You observe it within a minimum of 30 years before we call it weather, or before we call it climate. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes. So what it means is that if if a particular pattern of weather continues over a period of time, it continues like that over a period of time, then we'll say that that place is the climate of that region. Do you understand? Are people getting all my terms are easy? Are people getting what I'm saying?
Yes.
So now, what we are actually here to do is to talk about climate change. But I want you to understand this concept first before we move into the climate change. What is now climate change? Now, climate change is actually a long-term shift in temperature or weather pattern. Do you understand? Now, what it means is that when I say long-term shift, it means that there's a change from the normal to the abnormal. Do you understand? When maybe the temperature, let's say the way wind. Let me use an example of things that we are conversant with. Let's say the way wind blows in this place. In this place, it has a particular pattern that it blows every time. Do you understand? And after a long period of time, we now observe that that wind doesn't blow the normal way again. You understand? That there's a change in the way the wind blows. That there's a change from the normal pattern to an abnormal pattern. We call that in climate change. That there's actually a change in the climate. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Okay, now generally there's a way God created this planet, this earth. He created it in such a way that the earth will maintain a particular temperature. Do you understand? Now, but our activities, the things we do, have actually increased the temperature of the atmosphere. Do you understand? It means that there are some of our activities that are actually affecting the way the atmosphere functions. Are you with me?
Yes.
Now, part of some of our activities that affect the way the climate, the atmosphere works is the way we burn coal. How many of you know what is coal? Coal. How many of you know what is coal? Okay. How many of you know what is fossil fuel? I know these are long. Okay, how many of you know what is called crude oil? Crude oil. These are long term. Sorry, I don't have to come down to their level. I don't know, but just okay. How many of you know what is called fuel? Okay, that one everybody knows that one. Okay, fuel is what the car uses, right? And fuel is derived from crude oil. Do you understand? You get fuel from crude oil. You get diesel. You know the one that the big trucks. They are kind of the kind of fuel they use. It is called diesel. But sometimes we usually call it gas. You understand? You understand? So from that same crude oil, you will get other things like the gas. There are some gases that we get from the crude oil. Do you understand? Are you flowing? Okay, so now most of the things that causes the changes in the atmosphere is actually produced from fuel. Diesel, that's diesel, the one that the big truck uses. Do you understand? When we drive our cars, there's something we call combustion. The fuel burns in the car. When the fuel burns in the car, it produces gas from the burning. And part of the gas that it produces destabilizes the atmosphere. It destabilizes the way the weather functions. Are you getting me? I'm trying to see how I can use the terms that you understand very well. So fuel is actually one of the causes of climate change because they produce fuel. When fuel burns, it produces what we call carbon dioxide. Do you understand? It produces what we call carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide goes to the atmosphere. You see this open space that we are seeing? Yeah? It goes to the atmosphere and forms what we call greenhouse gases. It forms what we call greenhouse gases. Now, what is greenhouse gases? Greenhouse gases are the gas that covers the atmosphere. It is the kind of gas that covers the atmosphere. It allows the sun to enter, but it doesn't allow the sun to escape. Do you understand? So what that thing does is that it causes warming of the atmosphere. It warms the atmosphere more than warms the atmosphere above the normal temperature. Do you understand? I hope you understand what I'm saying. So when those gases move, they move and form what we call, it covers the atmosphere like a blanket. You understand? The sun, releases its heat on the earth, but there's no way that heat will escape. You understand? So because those gases are serving as a blanket, now the heat from the sun will not be able to escape, and it causes what we call global warming. Meaning that the temperature of the atmosphere is becoming hotter than usual. Okay, let me give an example. If you get a white glass cup, and you light a candlestick inside it and cover it like this, what will happen to that glass cup as the candle burns? It's very good, very good. That environment, that air within that glass becomes heated. Do you understand? It becomes hot. So that's what that greenhouse gases does. It covers the atmosphere like that glass. So as the heat that is being released from the sun comes down, the heat is not able to escape. So it makes the atmosphere to become hotter. You understand? Become hotter than normal. And when it becomes hotter than normal, it means that there are certain things in the earth that cannot function the way it's supposed to function. You understand? It can cause so many things. It can cause so many things like, okay, sometimes we hear about flooding. Flooding. How many of you know what flood is? When there's excessive rain and the rain covers everywhere. So those warming of the atmosphere actually can cause flooding. It can also cause drought. Do you know what is called drought? When there's scarcity of rain, rain doesn't fall for a very long time. In some regions, it can actually cause drought. Do you understand? It can also warm the sea. You know what a sea is?
Yes.
The sea. When you talk about sea. So it also warms the sea, and when it warms the sea, it makes the sea to rise, the temperature of the sea to rise above the normal sea level. And there are some things that live in the sea. I hope you know.
Yes.
The fish, the aquatic animals, they live in the sea. So when the sea warms more than the normal temperature, those aquatic animals begin to die. Do you understand? So these are some of the effects that this climate change causes. Do you understand? It can also cause food scarcity. Do you understand? It can cause food scarcity. When you have excessive flooding or drought, our crops will not be able to grow. So there will be low food production. Okay, now let me don't waste much of our time. Now the reason why we encourage tree planting or flower planting is because, I told you that those gases that comes out from the vehicle, they produce what we call carbon dioxide, right?
Yes.
When it produces that carbon dioxide, these trees or flowers tend to absorb those carbon dioxide. You understand? It tends to absorb, taking those carbon dioxide. And when it takes in carbon dioxide, it releases oxygen, which is good for our atmosphere. Do you understand?
Yes.
Are you following what I'm saying? Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. So when you have trees, flowers, they take in carbon dioxide through a process called photosynthesis and produce oxygen. Do you understand? So by producing oxygen, it means that they try to balance the changes, the effect that has taken place in the atmosphere. Do you understand what we're saying? It tends to balance all those emissions, all those gases that are coming out into the atmosphere. The oxygen that the trees and flowers releases tend to stabilize the atmosphere, thereby reducing the effect of climate change. Are you following?
Yes.
So basically, I will not want to waste much of your time because I hope. Okay. So what will happen is that we are trying to see how we can plant these trees in your school here, so that it will also help in producing oxygen that we will breathe. You understand? Yes. When it produces oxygen, we breathe, we take in that oxygen, and it also helps to balance whatever changes that has happened in the atmosphere. Do You understand?
Yes.
So what we are even encouraging now is that we encourage, there's most governments, most countries around the world are trying to see how they can do away with the use of fuel, the use of gas, the use of diesel. They want to encourage what we call renewable energy. The use of energies that come from like the solar energy. How many of you know solar? Okay, where do we get solar from? From the sun. Very good. The use of energies that are renewable, like the sun, the wind, the water. So our concern is that one day we'll move from use of fuel to use of electric cars. Do you understand? Cars that uses electricity. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. So that's one of our mission, that we encourage the use of energies that are not harmful to human health. Energies that are sources of energies that does not affect human beings. Do you understand what we are saying? So energies like from the sun, from the wind, from the water, these are energies that are very clean. We call them clean sources of energy because they don't have any effect on human life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Are you following?
Yes.
Okay. So, what we'll do now is that people will just watch and see. Maybe some of you, I don't know how you're going to do. We'll just select some of them. We'll just watch and see the way we plant the trees. What's that?
Okay, maybe safe by safe.
Okay, we'll just observe. Okay.